Hi, this is Ninja2dan again, and we're going to be doing another 7.62 high caliber video guide. In this guide, we're going to be covering a little bit more information on the field radio. For that, we are going to be going back to the Army base. This is a continuation from one of the earlier video guides talking about vehicles. Once again, with the Army base, when you first start off not when you first start off, but fairly early into the game, you are going to run across a mission that is going to have you go to the Army base and secure an item that's here. Once you do so, you complete the mission, you now own the base. When you are in the base, there's a small locker in the main building. Inside of that locker, you're going to find a field radio. That field radio can either be carried on one of your character's shoulders, can be carried in a backpack, or you can also carry it inside of your vehicle itself. To give a basic idea of what that is for, we're going to go back to Puerto Viejo, which is one of the starting cities. Hopefully before you have actually gone through and done that mission, you will at least have visited this city when you first start the game. The reason this is relevant to the radio is because in order to access certain functions on the radio, you do have to initiate them in a sense. In this city, this is the only city where you will find it, is the bank. Having access to the banker through the radio, the only way you can do that is if you have set up an account. You do that by coming to the bank itself. You speak to the clerk, and you'll have the option to open an account. When you open your account, when you first start off, there's no taxes, but you do have the option to either deposit, withdraw, or borrow money. Once you have created your account from him, you do not have to come back to this town. When you go to the field radio itself and you choose use it, there's often a delay the first time you use it when you started up the game. Once you've used it once, it generally does not have this delay. So by using the radio, you're going to see a list of various options. Some of these options will not be available immediately. For example, as I mentioned, the bank clerk option is not there until you've actually contacted the bank clerk. The Skywriter option is not going to be there until you've done his little side mission. And then you have a couple of vendors, as well as your management of the economy militia settings. So for the bank, when you speak to the bank clerk, you still have the exact same features as you would by talking to the banker in person. Another option that you're going to have is for contacting MERC. This is something that normally you can do if you go to any bartender. You have the option of borrowing their radio to contact MERC, but by having a radio with you, you're able to contact them at any time. This feature will allow you to go through and actually hire other mercenaries. You can go through and choose by class. Again, Blue Sun Mod now uses a class system. So if you are looking for a specific type of mercenaries, so for example, if I need a medic, I choose the medics option, and it will give me a list of the different mercenaries that are available. When you choose one of those mercenaries, it will then give you their initial stats, so you can go through and decide is that somebody you're really interested in having. It will then also show you the price to hire them. The initial fee is basically paying for their ticket to fly here. You are not hiring them yet. This is just for them to come here. Once they're at that location, and they will come to the map sector you're currently in, you will then see the price to hire them for 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. If you have a whole ton of money and you think you're going to be using them for quite a while, you can go ahead and hire them for the longer periods. Generally, when you're starting off, you're not going to have much, so you just hire them either per day or per week. If you don't like that person, you can go through, choose somebody else. Once you see somebody that you do like and you choose to buy them a ticket, that character will then spawn into the game right next to your character where you start talking to them. You can then ask if you want to hire them or not. If you want to hire them, you pay them. If not, they'll stay in this sector. The other option for the mercs, instead of using the initial class system, there's also AIM, which is from previous Jagged Alliance games, where you just have a lot of the old school mercs that are here. Again, by choosing their name, you will see all of their general stats, their hiring fees, travel cost, etc. It does not show you any of the equipment that they start with. As far as the Sky Raider option, there is going to be a special mission you can do later on to have access to that. I won't give away what that does. Bobby Ray's is a specialty merchant. When you go to him, this will be dependent on your game level as far as what's available. But it usually will have a few decent custom, well, not custom, he'll have a little bit of the better weapon selection that you might find in some of the basic merchants. So for example, if we start looking through here, he's carrying the Chris. He's got a lot of these custom AK variants, and because I'm later in the game, it's going to show a lot more of the advanced weapons. So we have the Barrett 468, which is AR style and a 6.8 caliber. You have ACRs, which come with different camouflage patterns as well as different barrel lengths. So by using the option to order items from him, again, sometimes these are probably not going to be available in your standard vendors. When you want to purchase items from him, they will then be delivered into your personal storage. It does take a little bit of time to get to you, but by doing this you can order things and not have to worry about tracking down which vendor has what. With Uribe, he is one of those other characters. The weapons that he has are specially modified. These are not available in any vendors anywhere except with him. Different modifications will vary. It's not going to really tell you what those modifications are. The exception is that certain weapons will have foregrips. So when a weapon has a foregrip attached, the foregrip is non-removable. It will take place of a bipod or underbarrel launcher. But the foregrip allows you to have that supported stance even if you're not down in the prone. So you have a variety of different options that are going to be based on your game level. As far as managing the economy and managing your militia, this is going to be for every sector that you control. You can go through and fire your different militia that are like your town guards. They're the ones that'll go there and watch the sector in case it gets attacked. If you want to hire them or move them around to different areas, this is how you would order them to do so. As far as the bank clerk, this is a real big one because this is where you're able to do your money management. When you first start the game, even before you have access to the radio itself, by going to this town, going to the bank clerk, if you want to deposit money, it will earn you interest based on that amount. So if you start getting a lot of money early on that you're not really using yet because you don't have access to a lot of the newer equipment, personally I would say go ahead and deposit it. One, that means you are going to be earning interest on it. The second thing is, when you do not have a lot of money in your personal inventory, you don't have quite as much a habit of buying a lot of stuff that you don't need. There's been times where I've gone out, done a mission, got paid a lot of money, and then I went to the one of the merchants, and before you know it, all the money's gone, and I'm stuck with twice as many weapons as I could ever use, just because I started buying up everything. So, for example, the money that I have on my person was solely for showing people the purchase options for vehicles, but at this time, if I wanted to deposit, By scrolling up and down, you are then able to choose the numbers. So we have 1, 5, 3, 6, 3, 8, 3, and then confirm. It will show you how much is now in your account and how much is on your player. You can also do a withdrawal. So as you can see, every time I choose one of those options, it will add an incremental amount. Hit confirm. So now I have 125,000. This is generally what I will do as I go through the game. I'll dump everything that I do have into the bank and then pull out just what I think I'm going to need for emergencies. So if I have 125,000, that's enough that if I need to pay for medical supplies or just pick up anything in general, re-ammo, whatever, I have enough money to do so, but I don't have so much that I'm going to be buying up things that I don't need. Also, that means I have a much larger amount in the bank, which is going to pull in a lot more money from my interest rates. You also have the option to borrow money, so it'll go from 10,000, 50,000 and up. The amount that you borrow will have a varied percentage listed next to it. That is a percentage that you have to repay. So if you borrow 10,000, you're going to have to repay 50% of that. So you borrow 10,000, you have to repay 5,000. On the other hand, if you borrow 1 million, the repayment is only 10%, but that is still 100,000. So the percentage that you pay is lower, but because it's an overall higher amount that you borrowed, the amount that you repay back is substantially higher. Also, the more you borrow, the longer you have to repay. I do not know what happens if you cannot pay. Probably bad things happen, game might end, people might come to stab you in the face while you're sleeping. Generally though, do not borrow if you do not need it. One thing that I would suggest is if you're going to borrow money, think about what vehicles there are that are available that you do not have. If you think you might be able to purchase a better vehicle that has a higher storage capacity, borrow money for that. If you have just started a new game level, there's a lot of new equipment. Remember that your enemy is going to have better equipment the higher your CGL is. You want to be able to compete with them. So if you need to go in, borrow a little bit of money, buy better gear, buy a bigger trunk space, and immediately go out and start getting your random encounters or completing missions to go loot what you can to sell, repay back your loan. That's okay. I've never actually had to use it except the first time I played through. So if you decide if you need it or not, that's going to be your decision. As far as the radio itself, if you look at its information, you will see that it weighs 4.5 kilos, which is pretty heavy when you're having to worry about carrying all of your other equipment. There is no necessary reason to be carrying this on your personal inventory. When you're in a mission under combat, it has no use. My personal recommendation is to keep it in the cabin area of your vehicle's storage. That way it doesn't weigh your character down and you have access to it no matter what sector you're on. So if you do initiate combat, you don't have to worry about throwing it to the ground to free up that weight or the space. But when you're not in combat, if you need the radio, just go to your inventory just like you would from your backpack, only now you're going to go to your vehicle. You still have full control of the radio from there. So that will generally cover the usage of the radio itself. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and let me know.